All right, today we're going on a journey way, way back. We're talking before kings, before cities, even before writing itself. We're heading into the Stone Age, right here on the Indian subcontinent, to dig into the very first chapters of our story. It's a tale of survival, of incredible innovation, and a revolution that literally changed everything.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How on earth can we know what happened millions of years ago? There are no history books to read, no diaries, no records of any kind. This is a history that wasn't written in ink, but was left for us in stone and bone.
And this is where we get our answer. It's in this era we call prehistory. To understand it, we basically have to become detectives. Archaeologists are the ones who piece this lost world back together, using the only clues our ancestors left behind: the tools they made, the shelters they lived in, and the art they created on cave walls.
Our journey is broken down into 3 big chapters. Just look at this timeline for a second. The Paleolithic, the Old Stone Age, is just massive. It stretches for nearly 2 million years. The other two, the Mesolithic and Neolithic, they're much shorter, but wow, are they packed with changes that would reshape the human story forever.
So, let's start with that first absolutely enormous period, the Paleolithic. To put it in perspective, this single era makes up over 99% of all of human history. Can you believe that? And for all that time, life was about one thing and one thing only: survival. And you really have to wrap your head around this. For hundreds of thousands, even millions of years, this was it. Life was a constant search for food. You were either hunting wild animals or gathering whatever plants and berries you could find. There was no plan B. This was the only way to live.
And even this huge chunk of time gets broken down into smaller pieces. You can see the slow, and I mean really slow progression here, from the lower to the middle and then the upper Paleolithic. Our ancestors were gradually, over countless generations, making their tools just a little bit better, a little more effective.
This image just pulls you right into their world, doesn't it? Life was lived on the move, in small groups, almost always near rivers for obvious reasons: water and the animals that came to drink. They used caves and rock shelters for protection, and their main piece of tech, their key to staying alive, was the stone tool. Absolutely everything depended on it.
Okay, so after what feels like an eternity, the last ice age ends. The world starts to warm up, and as the environment changes, so do the people living in it. This next phase, the Mesolithic or Middle Stone Age, is this really fascinating bridge between two completely different worlds.
And what's so cool here is you suddenly see this explosion of new ideas. People start to domesticate animals like sheep and goats. We see the very first hints of people trying to grow their own food. And we see something profoundly human start to appear. They're intentionally burying their dead, and they're creating art. Even their tools are changing, becoming these tiny, sharp implements called microliths.
And this is just incredible. At places like the Bimbetka rock shelters, we can literally look into the minds of these people. They painted their world on the walls, scenes of hunting, dancing, family life. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about culture, about belief, about expressing who they were.
And all of this experimentation leads us to our final act, the Neolithic, or the New Stone Age. Now, this wasn't just another small step. This was a full-blown revolution that would completely change what it even meant to be human.
Just look at this chart. This is probably the single most important shift in human history. We went from finding our food to making our food, from hunting and gathering to farming and raising animals. And that one change meant we didn't have to be nomadic anymore. For the first time ever, we could settle down.
And the results of that one shift? It was absolutely monumental. This new ability to produce food sparked the beginning of village life. We see it happening at amazing sites like Mehrgar, where you can find the evidence of some of the very first settled communities being built from the ground up.
This revolution just unleashed a cascade of other innovations. The controlled use of fire became common. People invented pottery because, well, now they needed something to store all their surplus food in. That surplus meant populations could grow. People started building permanent houses and even digging underground pits to store grain for the winter, like the ones they found in Burzaham. This was the foundation for everything that came next.
So let's just take a breath for a second. What's the big takeaway from this incredible story? We've just zipped through millions of years of our own history in just a few minutes.
When you zoom out and look at the big picture, the pace of change is just staggering. After nearly 2 million years of doing things one way,
hunting and gathering, our ancestors made the leap to farming in just a few thousand years. That agricultural revolution laid the groundwork for villages, which then grew into towns, and then cities, and eventually the civilizations we know today.
The Neolithic Revolution completely remade the human world. It changed everything. And that kind of makes you wonder, right? What revolution, whether it's technological or social or something else entirely, are we living through right now? And how is it going to change our story for all the generations to come? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.